A Trump supporter caught on camera attacking a fellow student on a college campus as President Obama tries to peacefully pass the baton.
I don't think he is ideological. I think ultimately he's pragmatic.
His advice to the president-elect as Donald Trump builds his team, the new role Rudy Giuliani may play in his White House.
Breaking overnight, a massive manhunt for this accused killer escaped from a county jail. Now authorities warn he may have stolen a truck with a rifle inside. The search for this man who could be armed and dangerous.
Caught on camera, this hot air balloon goes haywire at a festival, catching fire as fireworks explode. Firefighters on the scene as the crowd screams, running for their lives.
And an ABC News exclusive. The woman in the middle of two of the biggest stories of the year, Megyn Kelly, here live.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals.
What does she think about Donald Trump's election and the private meeting they had during the campaign to try to end his attacks against her? Plus those sexual harassment allegations against Roger Ailes. What is she now saying about her former Fox News boss? And why didn't she sound the alarm earlier? Only on GMA this morning.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
And good morning, America. We have a lot of news to get to this morning, but also a very big GMA tradition.
Because it's that time of the year, folks, we're revealing People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive. Who is going to be on that cover?
We know. Very sexy man.
I don't know.
And then, you know, there's some...
You don't know?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Well, you might really be surprised by this issue. It might be you.
We'll have much more on that coming up. But first, we're going to begin with those calls for a peaceful transition of power from President Obama. There he is, touching down in Greece just hours ago for his final international trip as president. Back here at home, anti-Trump protests like this one at Ohio State University escalating. ABC's Tom Yamas is here with more on the reaction to Donald Trump's election and who will be joining his White House. Good morning, Tom.
Robin, good morning to you. The Trump team coming together despite some controversy over his first hires. This as some of Trump's closest allies are giving us a glimpse of what may be ahead. Trump loyalist Rudy Giuliani may soon be joining President-elect Donald Trump in the White House. Giuliani saying he won't be Trump's attorney general, but he may be Secretary of State. Both Giuliani and former UN Ambassador John Bolton are contenders for the post.
John would be a very good choice.
Is there anybody better?
Maybe me, I don't know.
But already one of Trump's first decisions is coming under scrutiny, elevating his campaign CEO Stephen Bannon to chief strategist and White House counselor.
Don't believe the mainstream media. Don't believe the establishment. Do not believe the permanent political class. We are on the right side of history.
Bannon, who ran Breitbart, led the charge to turn the conservative site into a platform for the alt-right, a movement many have accused of being racist and anti-Semitic. And from House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, this blunt statement: there must be no sugarcoating the reality that a white nationalist has been named chief strategist for the Trump administration. Trump advisors slamming those descriptions of Bannon.
He's been the general of this campaign, and frankly, people should look at the full resume. He's got a Harvard business degree, he's a naval officer, he has success in entertainment. I don't know if you're aware of that.
In his first news conference since the election, President Obama revealing that during that Oval Office meeting last Thursday, he told Trump he should reach out to the groups that opposed him and realize the importance of his post-election decisions.
How he staffs, the first steps he takes, the first impressions he makes, the reset that can happen after an election.
Obama telling Americans to give President-elect Trump a chance and offering his successor this stern advice.
There are going to be certain elements of his temperament that will not serve him well unless he recognizes them and corrects them.
And before he wrapped up his news conference, President Obama also had some advice for his own party, saying they have to spend the time in small towns and states like Iowa to create political bases that deliver votes and victories on Election Day. George?
Okay, Tom, thanks. Joining me now, Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly. She's out with a new book, Settle for More. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But let's take a look at these appointments, these first appointments by Donald Trump right now. Steve Bannon, Reince Priebus, maybe Rudy Giuliani. To the victors go the spoils.
Absolutely right. And Trump's entitled to surround himself with the people who he most trusts. Bannon's really the only one so far who's caused a lot of controversy. I mean, it's sort of like a tale of two cities, where you've got Reince Priebus, who's more establishment, which Trump has been railing against, and then Steve Bannon, who's spent his entire career railing against the establishment.
That sets, and he says they are going to be equal partners. But what does that mean inside the White House? It could set up a kind of civil war.
I mean, it could be a little awkward, but what I'm hearing is Steve Bannon will really be in charge, that he's the Trump whisperer.
Even though he's not the chief of staff?
Yeah, that this is an unusual situation, because normally the chief of staff would be the one who is. What we're being told is Steve Bannon will really have the ear of Donald Trump. And I don't know what that means for Reince Priebus. Maybe President-elect Trump needs somebody who knows how to work the Hill and staffing decisions.
So that would suggest perhaps that President Obama was wrong in his judgment yesterday when he said that he doesn't think Donald Trump is ideological, thinks he's pragmatic.
Well, I think both are true. I mean, I think both are true, that he's not ideological and that he is pragmatic. And I think Steve Bannon, though he is a controversial figure, has advised Donald Trump very well. You remember Trump's campaign was really flailing until Bannon came in, a guy who doesn't run political campaigns, but who completely understands these working class Americans who have had it with Washington and the so-called establishment.
But what do you say to those critics who say this is bringing a white supremacist into the White House?
I don't know that there's evidence of that. You know, I mean, I think people need to be...
headlines?
The Breitbart headlines, his defenders, I mean, they're absolutely controversial. But what his defenders say is he's not responsible for every single headline that went up on Breitbart while he was the executive chairman, and that website is known for being provocative, and so they're looking for clicks. Now, it definitely appeals to a segment of the so-called alt-right, which includes some white supremacists. But I don't know that you could tar the entire team with that brush or Steve Bannon with that brush. But having said that, there's no question this man is controversial.
So, you know, we're going to talk more about your book coming up in the next half hour. You call 2016 your year of Trump, and it really details all of your encounters, the tough encounters. What does that tell you about what kind of president Donald Trump will be, and how can you put that all aside in covering him?
Well, I mean, I have a year of doing it. So, I mean, now it's easy to cover him because we're out of that weird place that we were in. It definitely posed his challenges when he was coming after me so relentlessly and causing security issues in my life and the life of my family. But I did it, and it was a test of me as a person and a professional, and I think my team and I at the Kelly File managed to navigate it pretty well. But what it tells me about what kind of a president he would be, listen, there's no question that Donald Trump is thin-skinned, and he can be mean-spirited. He can be vindictive. But my own experience with him proves that he's able to let things go if he so chooses, right? He came after me like a dog with a bone for 9 months. But finally, when I went to see him at Trump Tower, and believe me, I was not conciliatory toward him, we got past it. I think he has a magnanimous piece of him. He has a charming piece to him as well. And while I think Trump doesn't like it when he feels attacked, if he feels like you're open-minded or at least neutral toward him, he becomes a bit more open-minded. The problem with him is he often feels attacked even when he's not.
And we're going to find out more about that meeting in our next half hour. Settle for More is out today. We're going to talk about that. Donald Trump, Roger Ailes in our next half hour. Robin?
Okay, George, but now to new questions about the Internet's possible effect on the election. After fake news stories trended online, Facebook and Google are now reportedly taking steps to curb those sites. Our chief business and economics correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis, is here. So, Rebecca, how are they responding?
Well, Robin, they are responding big this morning. And if you've spent any time on the internet and social media, chances are you've seen these fake news stories, but you might not even know it. For example, we Googled this morning who won the popular vote, and we found this high up in the search results, a fake story claiming Donald Trump did. Now, votes are still coming in, but Hillary Clinton is ahead in the popular vote by a wide margin. Then there's this on Facebook. Trump loses support of police union after saying Tulsa shooting cop choked. That's not true either. Well, now Google and Facebook are targeting how the creators of these fake news sites make money. That's advertising. Google announcing overnight it will prevent websites that push phony news from using its AdSense advertising network, and Facebook announcing that it is updating policies to ban fake news. Those are important steps, Robin.
Very important. All right, Rebecca, thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on out of that breaking news from Missouri, where an accused killer escaped from jail after a door was left open. Our senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas has the latest on the search. Good morning, Pierre.
Good morning, George. That's right. A massive manhunt now underway for a convict that police believe is armed and dangerous. Daniel Campbell, charged with first-degree murder and assault, snuck out of the Texas County Jail in Missouri around 6 p.m. last night. He was wearing an orange and white jail uniform with no shoes when he escaped through a door left open while construction work was going on at the jail. Authorities believe Campbell then stole a Dodge pickup truck 2 hours later, a deer rifle inside. Police are now on high alert, searching the region north and west of Houston, Missouri. Scary situation unfolding for the people in that area. George?
Okay, Pierre, thanks very much.
Scary indeed. Now to that stunning verdict in that hot car trial in Georgia. Justin Ross Harris found guilty on all 8 charges, convicted of murdering his son by leaving him locked in a car for hours. ABC's Steve Osunsami is in Marietta, Georgia, with more. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning to you, Robin. This was a surprising result for many who've been following this case closely from the very beginning. Jurors not only agreed that this father was negligent, but that he intended to kill his son. Justin Ross Harris sat nearly stone-faced as jurors delivered blow after blow. Guilty on all 8 charges, from murder to child cruelty to even a charge for sexting with an underage girl, which prosecutors say was happening while his son was dying outside his Atlanta office in this silver SUV. The jury of 6 women and 6 men decided that 22-month-old Cooper Harris was killed intentionally after being strapped into this rear-facing car seat by his father and left for more than 7 hours in the parked car on a summer day in 2014.
You have to accept that somebody's capable of this level of evil. It really affected everybody.
Harris failed to convince jurors that this was an accident, that he simply forgot to drop his son off at daycare on his way into work that morning. His now ex-wife even took his side.
If he was never checked in, then he must have forgot.
During deliberations last week, jurors asked again to look at a police station video where Harris and the boy's mother are heard discussing the story he told authorities.
Did you say too much?
All I did was told him the events of the day.
His lawyers are planning to appeal.
From the moment we met Ross Harris, we've never once, ever once wavered in our absolute belief that he's not guilty of what he's just been convicted of.
Harris is looking at life in prison, and he'll be sentenced in this courthouse behind me here in Marietta, Georgia, on December 5th. George.
Okay, Steve, thanks very much. Now to that smoke and fire tearing across the southeast. 8 states battling these flames right now, and ABC's Eva Pilgrim is on the scene in Chimney Rock, North Carolina, where firefighters have been working all through the night. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, George. You can see the fire coming down the mountain. We're staying across the street from it. Firefighters telling us that trees could fall down here this morning. There's no end in sight to the flames.
Flames crawling up and down mountains all across the southeast. Thousands of firefighters from as far away as Alaska battling 42 wildfires across 8 states. Authorities say many deliberately set.
We do also ask for cooperation with anyone who has information on anyone who may have started any of these fires. We do believe most of these fires are man-made.
In North Carolina, the Party Rock fire around Chimney Rock forcing 1,000 people out of their homes, mandatory evacuations in place. The ongoing drought creating dry conditions, fueling the fires, some burning for more than a month, and no rain in the forecast anytime soon.
For now, you can see the fire is moving very slowly down the mountain, jumping over the roads as it continues to move down.
We could have these challenges through March.
The widespread smoke prompting air quality warnings. Code red in western North Carolina, orange in parts of Georgia. Some residents wearing masks.
It just went in my lungs, and I had to get out of here.
Another problem here, you can see there's still leaves on the tree. When those leaves fall, it can reignite the flames. Michael?
All right, dangerous situation there. Thank you, Eva. Let's turn now to David Curley. He's standing by at Reagan National Airport, where it sounds like there was a scary moment in the sky on Monday, David.
Yeah, it was a very scary moment, Michael. A couple of pilots took evasive action thinking they saw a drone and injured 2 of their own flight attendants.
The investigation this morning into what the pilots of a plane with 54 passengers on board saw coming towards them, leading to their severe action. The pilots making a sharp turn at 9,000 feet in the air. 2 flight attendants thrown in the cabin and injured. Once on the ground, the pilots said they thought it was a drone coming towards them.
They see a flash, they see something at an altitude where they would not expect another airplane or something to be flying. And so they instinctively make a sharp turn to get away from whatever it is.
The 2 flight attendants were treated and released in Toronto. Already this year, pilot sightings of drones in the U.S. are up 40% compared to all of last year.
We almost got hit by a drone, just to let you know, up here.
The worry, what would happen if a drone hits a passenger plane?
So I'm just hovering.
There are several efforts like this one to come up with technology to counter drones. This government-funded corporation can overpower a drone signal, taking over control of the drone and flying it to safety.
Of course, now a pilot traveling several hundred miles an hour has to make a split decision in just a second, and that's what those Canadian pilots did yesterday, Robin, to get out of the way of what they thought was a drone.
Yep, they make those quick decisions, David. You're right. Thank you. Now, Amy has morning's other top stories, starting with tourists that are trapped after the earthquake in New Zealand.
That's right, Robin. A U.S. warship has arrived in New Zealand to help evacuate hundreds of residents and tourists who are stranded in towns cut off by Monday's powerful earthquake. A 9-story building in the capital is in danger of collapsing at this hour, prompting evacuation orders there. Damage right now estimated in the billions. Meanwhile, those cows we showed you yesterday stranded there on that hill after a landslide have now been rescued. Well, some U.S. service members and CIA operatives could face charges for the alleged torture of detainees in Afghanistan. The International Criminal Court says there is evidence Americans tortured more than 80 prisoners back in 2003 and 2004. A full investigation is possible, which could lead to charges. And this morning, we want to take a moment to pay tribute to a pioneering journalist, Gwen Ifill. The role model for so many reporters, both young and old, has died of cancer at the age of 61.
Good evening, I'm Judy Woodruff.
And I'm Gwen Ifill.
One half of the first all-female anchor team on Network Nightly News.
How are you? Hi, Mr. President.
Good to see you.
Gwen Ifill once told the New York Times that as a little girl watching the news, she would look up and not see anyone who looked like me in any way.
That's why diversity matters. You're bringing a different life experience to your interpretation.
The trailblazing journalist, born in 1955, graduated from Simmons College, recalling her first news internship at the Boston Herald-American on the PBS series Makers.
I call myself the lonely only because there were no other black women really in that situation at that time. But that didn't stop me.
And nothing could stop her.
Is it fair for Americans who fear government to fear you?
Ifill covering politics for 3 decades. A fixture behind the moderator's desk.
Was this the worst of Washington or the best of Washington that we saw play out?
The reporter and author's legacy shining bright for those future journalists also watching the news every night.
As long as I remember that there's someone on the other side of the piece of equipment, the camera, I have to take what I do seriously every single day.
And I love what Gwen said so many times. She wanted to bring light, not heat, to issues. And I also loved your beautiful tribute to Gwen on Facebook. I saw that, and it really was remarkable. You all had such a relationship.
Yeah, she reached out when she was first diagnosed, and I think about what Stuart Scott said, that you don't lose your battle, and you know this, Amy, you don't lose your battle to cancer. You beat cancer by how you live and the manner in which you live. And she was a shining example of that. And it was wonderful, the things that President Obama said about her
He sure
yesterday.
did. And boy, I was on both sides of the table from Gwen. She first covered the Clinton campaign, the Clinton White House. She was fierce and fearless, a very, very tough reporter. But then, when the day was done, a warm and caring and really joyful human being.
She'll be missed.
She sure will. Let's go to Rob with the weather.
Hey, George, we've got a raw and rainy day ahead of us. Normally, we wouldn't be celebrating this, but we need the rain here in New York and Boston. Heavier bands will be rotating in throughout the day. Severe drought in much of the Northeast. A game changer coming into the west. This is going to drop some snow in the Intermountain West and also across the plains, and much colder air behind this. We'll get some lake effect snow finally as we go through this weekend, and the cold's going to get all the way down into the deep south. Time now for your Tuesday trivia, brought to you by Walgreens.
Happy Thanksgiving!
Thanks for giving Leanne the strength to outrun her brother. Thanks for giving Victor the energy to be the rowdiest fan. And Joseph, the ability to see monsters. When you choose Walgreens, you choose to make a difference. Like how every vitamin and flu shot you get at Walgreens helps give life-changing vitamins and vaccines to children in need. So really,
Happy Thanksgiving!
Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Jackets on this morning. It is a bit of a cool start with our temperatures in the 40s, but we'll get up to a high today of 58 degrees. Some of us may be pulling the sunglasses out after that stray chance of a shower that will last up until about 11 a.m. Low threat of any rain for the afternoon hours, even the early afternoon. Today's high 58, tomorrow 60. The weekend split 2 seasons, 68 feeling like fall on Saturday, 46 on Sunday, feeling more like winter.
And coming up, much more with Megyn Kelly, opening up live about that private meeting with Donald Trump during the campaign and those sexual harassment allegations against her former Fox News boss, Roger Ailes. That is only on GMA.